Hello everyone, welcome to Desert Succulent, and today let's talk about some of the care guides this summer. It's already 12 o'clock and tirik na tirik yung araw, as you would see. And those kind of clouds, yan, nakikita nyo yung ganyang clouds, that would now indicate that summer is already here or it's fast approaching, and we have to take good care of our succulents or else baka mamatayan tayo. So we're gonna be discussing some of the tips on how we can take good care of our succulents. And unang-una nga dyan is that we have to protect them against the intense summer heat. Just in case you have these parang open na space wherein yung inyong mga succulents are receiving direct sunlight, you might as well try to move them in an area that has more shade. At least we have to provide them about 40 to 50% na shade, and that's what I'm gonna be showing to you. I made a DIY na planter, para siyang 3-layer na rack, and dito sa pinakababa, these are yung mga succulents that are receiving itong parang shaded na part, and the only time na naaarawan sila is early in the morning. Ayan, kasi yung sun rays natin is over there. Yung mga succulents na nasa likod are receiving sunlight early in the morning, then around mga bandang 10 until around 2 o'clock they will be under the shade, kasi nga yung araw natin is already towards that side. Kaya as you would see here, nasa shade na lahat itong ating mga succulents na nandito, including dito sa baba. And pagdating nga ng around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, itong area naman na to will be exposed to the sunlight, and that will be okay kasi nga hindi naman na masyadong mainit during those times. In this area naman, this is yung ating mini na greenhouse. So what you're seeing right now is just the natural na sunlight, but this one is already filtered kasi I'm using this parang plastic na sheet over here, and instead of using yung single layer, I made use of 2 layers of this plastic sheet in order for me to provide nga at least 50% na shade sa kanila. If you don't have plastic sheets, then you can make use of any shade cloth or any net. So you would see here sa ground the big difference nga nung ating direct sunlight, so walang shade ito. And this one now is the area kung saan tayo naglagay ng plastic sheet na 2-layer. Kuha tayo ng succulent as an example. Yeah, so I have these succulent, and you would see the difference. Ganyan yung itsura niya pag naka direct sunlight siya, and if you will be moving it here sa filtered, it would look like that. So here, ayan yung ating mga succulents under our indirect na sunlight. Ayan sila. And it's also very important for us to provide them some very good na circulation, airflow. So this is just our temporary na greenhouse, and it's actually open. And those na mga nandito naman are the succulents that have a very nice na circulation. During the summer season, the best time of the day to water our succulents is early morning before the temperature rises, and as much as possible, kailangan nating i-avoid watering them in the afternoon kung saan the temperatures are at their peak. In any case, we cannot water our succulents early in the morning, then we can water them in the evening. And we have to avoid nga itong hot water sitting in the crown of our succulent for us to prevent nga yung ating sunburn on them. If our succulents are outside or in a greenhouse during this dry na season, we would be expecting na mas mabilis mag-dry or matuyo yung ating mga soil, and therefore we have to water them once a week, especially if they are located outside or in a greenhouse. When watering itong ating mga established na plants or succulents, we have to ensure that the soil is saturated to the plant's deepest roots. And in order for us to do this, we have to continue watering yung ating mga plants until water starts to come out of the bottom of the pot. So kumbaga, it's gonna be yung soak and dry method na tinatawag natin again. If gagawin nga natin itong deep watering, it will now promote yung ating healthy root growth sa ating mga succulents, and will now result into healthier plants. The tendency kasi, if we will be watering our succulents frequently but superficial, or kung baga hindi talaga siya fully soak, will now result in a shallow root system and a less established plant. So if you really wanted to promote a healthy root growth sa inyong mga succulents, then we have to water them deeply. You always need to assess the soil of your succulents. You have to make sure that they are well draining para kahit na once a week tayong magdilig sa kanila, we won't be having a problem. You can add more minerals sa inyong mga succulents such as the pumice stones to facilitate drainage. We also have to remember that black plastic pots like this would now increase the heat around our plants. So it will be best if we will be removing itong ating mga black pots and transfer them into some more hospitable containers such as itong ating mga clay pots or any pot of your choice, but you have to make sure that it has a drainage hole sa pinakababa. Another thing to watch out for during the summer season is yung ating mga pests sa ating mga succulents since they are very destructive pag napabayaan. And the most common pest nga is yung ating mga mealybugs and other mites. I have here again yung ating neon breaker na I've been featuring for several months already. Ito na yung update sa kanya. As you would see, more or less 5 to 6 months na siyang napabayaan. We just keep on watering it but we didn't remove any of its dry leaves and we didn't even treat it with any insecticide, pesticide, or fungicide. And here is an update of how it looks like. It continuously grow. We have mga new offsets from time to time but they are not really growing or they won't really last that long since there is a lot of parang pests dito. See those? Yung mga parang mga white doon, those are our mealybugs. This one, our aphids. Ayan sila. So, we can kill this pest by using some pesticides or insecticides that you have. And we also have to check the roots too. We have to make sure na even yung kanilang roots would be treated since it's also their favorite place to live in. And also this is something that you have to do before summer comes. We have to keep the area around our succulents clean or free of built up from leaf debris like this and anything that can hold water, like for example itong mga dried leaves na to, we should be removing them kasi itong mga ito are a very nice breeding ground ng ating mga pests and more specifically itong ating mga mealybugs. So every time we water as well, pati itong mga dried leaves na to would be wet, and as we know, a wet base will now lead to rotting and it will attract more pests from coming. Yung ating mga mealybugs and other pests, hindi naman talaga sila tumatambay dito sa labas, but they love to hide dito sa pinakaloob. Ito yung mga stems. We will be removing all of these. This one is my rose cabbage na cluster, but even if it's healthy, it's not really advisable for us to keep nga itong ating mga old leaves. Kaya we have to remove all of these dried leaves. This is also one of those satisfying thing to do, yung pagtanggal nga ng ating mga dried leaves sa ating mga succulents. Ayan. There are also some of our succulents that go dormant during the summer season, and we also have some of the succulents that grow fast during the summer season. And I have already made a vlog about the different species of succulents that goes dormant and grows well in summer. Kaya you can always check that out for you to better understand your succulents. And every time our succulents enter nga itong ating parang dormant na stage during summer, they require little water, and as much as possible we won't be fertilizing them kasi this is the time where they are actively growing nga yung kanilang mga roots instead of physically growing from the outside. And still, it doesn't mean na dormant sila. We will not be providing them sufficient sunlight. They really require itong ating mga sunlight to keep nga itong kanyang compact shape, or else you will be having a problem with ethylation just in case you put them in a shaded area. And lastly, if we're talking about nga yung ating maintenance for our succulents, especially during this summer season, then we have to make use of some fungicides or pesticides or insecticides. During this summer season, it will be expecting that we will be having some fungal infections and yung ating mga pests nga would be more since the environment or the temperature is very conducive to their breeding. In order for us to help prevent nga yung future pest infestation sa kanila, we have to regularly spray yung ating mga pesticides sa kanila. And one of my most favorite nga na ina-apply sa kanila is yung ating natural systemic pesticide, which is yung ating neem oil. So if you're gonna be asking me which is better, yung ating mga contact or systemic pesticides and fungicides, I would suggest that you would go for the natural nga, which is na neem oil. So, yung mga ganito kasi, it's safe for humans and pets. And, syempre, if we're gonna be doing our gardening and maintenance, we have to also consider our health. It's not just like parang we will be using chemicals or solutions to save nga or protect our succulents. But in the long run, it could eventually affect our overall health. What I usually do is to spray sa kanilang leaves and even sa kanilang pinaka-soil since it is systemic nga. And that's all for our summer care guide. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You may also visit our Facebook page at Desert Succulent PH.